All right, we are live on YouTube. Thank you, Amanda. So we'll call the meeting to order. And we have no correspondence and no delegations this night. So we will go into new business, and I'll hand it over to Teresa to give us a Parks and Rec update.
All right, thank you very much, Councillor White. So fairly lengthy update tonight, and I'll try to hit the highlights. So starting on page 2 of the agenda package, to start with is a COVID-19 update. So as of October 13th for the Watford Community Arena reopening plan and October 15th for the Halls reopening plan, there has been no changes. There has been clarifications with regards to an ongoing communication with our ice rentals and our hall rentals. We continue to review the plans. Right now, Lambton County is still in stage, or my apologies, is in green. And so there have been no changes. However, there have been neighboring counties that have had changes. So for example, Middlesex, London Middlesex is now, I believe, at yellow. So we're hoping that we don't have to go backwards with restrictions. So right now it's pretty much status quo. And we continue to use outside resources. So our neighboring municipalities, and as well, there's a recreation group called SWARFA, and we talk regularly on strategies on reopening. And Councillor White, will I continue on?
Yep, just keep going. We'll just interrupt with questions if we have them.
Thank you. So Watford Community Arena, our ice rentals continue with the same COVID-19 restrictions. And it's been an interesting process in that we had some groups start in September, and then more groups start in October, and now we've had more groups start. So it's been a good flow. And the rentals are doing very well. We did receive some feedback on the exits on improving the lighting, and we did have a contractor actually in today, our electrical contractor, and they're going to be following up with some quotes on way we can improve the exit lighting. And council approved the purchase of a condenser with a glycol loop, which will improve the cleanliness of the water that we use for the refrigeration plant. So it has been ordered, and we'll be looking to get that into place when it's cold, because a refrigeration plant will be down for about 12 hours. And it will take about a week for all in installation. And the condenser that is being purchased is sized for future growth. So if the refrigeration plant or the slab changes, we're prepared for that. And the reason why it needed to be changed is that we had 2 consecutive seasons at the startup of the plant. In 2019, the startup, there was 400 pounds of ammonia that had disappeared. And in 2020, there were 200 pounds. And so there was a leak, and this is to rectify that problem. With regards to the community halls, again, we continue to abide by the provincial gathering limits. And just an update, because this would be something I believe that's been changed since we last met, and that was the provincial gathering limits were changed in the sense that they have to be staffed to continue to be at 50 indoors. So we are trying to meet those requirements for rentals that are interested in Warwick or Centennial Halls. The Watford Arena Hall is okay because we are staffed there always, but we are working with groups to try to ensure that if they choose to keep their rental going, that and it's going to be over the 10 people indoors that, I believe it's 10 people indoors, that we will find a way to staff it. This doesn't affect the gun club because their reopening plan only permitted 2 people in the range at a time anyway, so they were never at that 10 people mark. So they continued on as business as usual. Not what the word I'm trying to think of the word I want to, not unexpected. We have had many cancellations in our halls upcoming. We're coming into, well, beginning in November was our holiday Christmas party time. We did have 28 rentals booked or tentatively booked. And as of the time of this publish, which was last week, we had 21 of those rentals canceled. And we believe had another one today. So we're at 22 that have canceled out of the 28. The Township Council approved use of Centennial Hall for the Neighbor to Neighbor food drive. So that was done on November 7th. And we've given them, allocated them space for non-perishable items. And that's sort of their storage space for a period of 1 month. The audio-visual equipment at Warwick Community Center has been updated. And that's basically the existing equipment. So it would be something like no different than doing an update to your computer. So pretty simple process. And in 2019, there was new paving at the Watford Fire Hall and also the Warwick Community Center, those parking lots and the line painting, including we did some no parking in front of the doors at Warwick Community Center, sorry, the fire doors, and also the handicap parking spaces, as well as Watford, the lines that the firefighters used to line up the trucks to back in. Those were refreshed, but everything else got painted. We are waiting to get the west side of the Watford Fire Hall done. Unfortunately, there were people parked in those spaces, so we're trying to coordinate a time that we can get in there and get that done.
Oh, question from Wayne.
Teresa, have you got on your list, I hope you still have it on your list, putting no parking in front of the entrance of the walkway?
Yes.
From some, okay?
Yep.
Because I got asked again, how come it wasn't done? And okay, as long as it's on your list.
Yes, it is on our list, and I apologize that it was delayed. It took a few months to connect with the paving company's contractor who was doing the line painting. And so we've been able to do that. And so we actually just had a meeting today, a senior leadership team meeting today, and identified the other areas in the community that we want to proceed with doing parking lot. Yes, definitely under the archway, but no parking there. Whether or not there's places we need to refresh handicap parking symbols. So we did review all of that today, and we do have a list. So yes, Councillor Morris, it's on my list.
Thank you.
And I think Councillor White, Martina had her.
Yep. Yes, Martina.
Okay, bear with me. I have a couple of arena questions.
Okay.
So we talked about the lighting, and that's great that we're looking at that. We've had some previous conversations about the staff parking area at that the exit on the west side of the building. So I just wanted to clarify that my concern wasn't the staff vehicles that are coming in and out, it's the vehicles that are parked there, because when the kids come out of that exit, they go between the cars that are parked there. So there's been a few examples where the 2 town trucks are parked right outside that exit. So when kids come flying out that door, they are then between vehicles and you can't see them until they pop out the other side of the vehicles, right? So if I just feel like if we're going to be using that regularly as an exit, that there really should be no, I know we have to have the electric parking there, but that other little stretch that's right now designated to staff, there really shouldn't be vehicles there when we're using that exit, because there's no view then to the exit for the cars on the road. Does that make sense?
Can I just ask one thing for clarification?
Sure.
So are skaters and players not following the walkway between the parking barricade and the building to the main entrance to meet people?
Not necessarily, right? There would be parents just waiting outside that exit. And I mean, you can remind kids 4 million times to follow the path, but they just come out and they go, right? Because they have to, that path is quite narrow. So really, to have good visibility there shouldn't be vehicles parked outside that exit.
Thanks, Martina. I can tell you that one challenge we have and will continue to have, that whether it's staff or not, people using the facility will park in staff parking and the electric vehicle charging areas. Because I work at night and I've often left and I know they're not our staff vehicles. So it's sort of trading in one problem for another. So realistically, if we were going to do that and move staff parking, we would essentially have to barricade all of that parking off, with the exception of the vehicle charging stations and handicap parking.
Right.
We would not be able to change those.
Right,
Teresa?
that makes sense. That's an accessibility thing. Go ahead, John.
Teresa, yeah, I think now that the fall season, winter season's on, you have two town trucks parked there, but one's gone now for the season.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
It's down to one. So why
Yep.
can we not just move that one truck over to the north side of the electrical charging? Every night he can just park a truck there. That
Yeah,
opens
that's
it
not a
up.
problem. Yeah,
Yeah. Then
That's
it'll
not a
open up-
problem.
Yeah, open up, we'll only have one vehicle that should be parked in all the staff parking spots, which is whoever's working that evening, right? So it should be wide open then pretty well, except for one vehicle parked in staff parking. Everything else should be,
or two,
Open.
if you include me.
yeah, but in the evenings when you're not there. But I've gone by it a few times and it was always the red trucks, right? And then
Yep.
anybody and the extra people that are staff in the evenings that think they're staff with, because it's open, you know.
And
But other
that's
than
one of
that,
the challenges.
it should be pretty wide open now if we can keep the people out of the staff parking somehow.
And that would be the challenge,
Yeah.
because I know I left the facility last Thursday night, probably around 8, and there was a very large SUV parked in staff parking that I know is not a staff vehicle. So I guess I would look for some direction as to
What to do with the staff parking?
yes.
Like,
What-
why can we not pylon it off or something so that it's not accessible to people? Like, we have, the roads department has those big pylons, right? That people would physically have to get out and move to park there.
I think that's a good idea, Martina.
And the only issue, the other issue will be snow removal, like when we're going to do snow removal.
Right. And I don't think it's as big of a deal like during the day. I think it's really in the evening when it starts to get dark and there's just not good visibility of that exit, right? I've just seen so many close calls. I spent a lot of time there.
Yeah, and then the other thing is too, like safety wise, I think what our electrical contractor comes back with, as in lighting, may change things again, right? For visibility. So yeah, so we can definitely look into all of those things. I would say though, if we're going to section off the staff parking so that no one parks there in the evening, to make it, for lack of better words, easier for staff, it's just easier to have it sectioned off the entire time. So none of us would be parking and no staff would be parking in those spots, day or night.
Which, I mean, isn't a huge deal. It, like at most facilities, the staff don't park right at the door, right? So, I mean, in my mind, customer service says your clientele should be parking closest to the door. But I mean, you also, you know your staff and you know what their needs are. So I guess that's something to consider.
Yeah, and definitely, Martina, and there are two philosophies on that. One, yes, that your customers and clientele do get the spots closest. I've worked in 2 other municipalities where one, we did have assigned parking and it was close to the building. And the rationale behind that was because we worked late hours or were in early. It was a safety issue because another municipality did not have staff parking. And when they came in, say at 3 o'clock and I had a baseball tournament going on, the staff were parking, you know, at the very end of the facility. And when they left at midnight or 1, they were walking through a parking lot by themselves. So there's, you know, those things too. But yeah,
For
definitely.
sure, for sure. And I think too, even if you could flip them for now, like, I mean, I don't think we're going to use this exit forever. I hope not anyway. Even if you could flip the staff to the other side of the electric charging stations, they're still relatively close, but it gives that visibility. Anyway, I think there's some options. I just, it's not very safe right now. Okay, I have 2 other questions. Is there more? Sorry. Okay, so my next one is around the spectator limit. So not about raising the limit, but are we going to get to a point where we're going to let associations police the number coming in instead of saying 1 person per kid? I'm just seeing a lot of families who, you know, have other siblings and as it gets colder, they're going to be stuck outside with those other siblings. So I just wasn't sure what the take was on that.
So I think you all received the copy of the email that I sent out as an update to our ICE users, because it's been just about a month since our last update. And I have had conversations with user groups over this. So we've said as part of the reopening plan, it is 1 parent or guardian or spectator per child, but I've also added up to a maximum of 25 people. So the association can choose how they fill those 25 spots. But if they may run into challenges where, you know, someone comes in and they permit 3 people in for this child, but they've run out of spots for kids that are coming later. So I don't, for me personally, as long as, and professionally, sorry, as long as we stay within the gathering limits of those 25, they sit in their, you know, respective spots, unless they are from the same household, then it quite honestly can be any 25. But to make it fair and equitable, we've said 1 per child.
Okay, that makes sense. I just wasn't sure if the association or group or whoever it is could, you know, come up with their own system. Like maybe they have, you have to book a spot so that they stay under 25, right? But so one family might have a kid, they like, it might be a mom and a kid that come in, but the next family might not have anyone coming in that night.
Yeah. And I should say that not unlike the Watford Skating Club, who are utilizing the hall, we do have another private organization that rents the arena hall every Saturday for 2 to 3 hours so that they have an overflow for 50 people, because you can have a maximum of 50 people in the hall. So they could utilize both 25 spots in the stands and another 50 upstairs. Keeping in mind the 50 upstairs still must practice physical distancing, so they can't all be at the glass watching, at least at the same time.
Right, okay. And then, okay, I have one more question and then I'll leave you alone. The screening questions, are they, that the groups are using, are they mandated by the ones that you guys have in the reopening plan, or are those a suggestion?
So the screening questions that we have provided are the ones that came from the ministry and Lambton Public Health. We have given them to organizations to use, but I also appreciate that, and we do have them posted at the entrance. So when you walk into the arena or the hall or any door at Centennial Hall, any door at Warwick Hall, there's those large signs on the outer doors. Those questions are there also, right? So there is pre-screening, pre-self-screening before you come in. And as well, anybody visiting the building. So anybody who's doing work in the buildings or contractors, fill out the same pre-screening. However, organizations such as that have a national, provincial or national sport body. So for example, minor hockey would have OMHA, OHF, as well as Hockey Canada. They may have their screening questions that they particularly say they must ask as part of their return to play plan. So there are two plans. There is the municipal return to play plan, which all the organizations must follow, but then each of the organizations groups must follow their provincial or national sport organizations return to play plan.
Okay, I only asked because the one question we found once it's been put into practice that we're running into some issues with it, and that's the one around if you've been in contact with someone who's been positive for COVID-19, anybody who, or it's possible anybody who works in a hospital or a long-term care facility or something like that have actually been in contact with someone with COVID, but they're wearing appropriate PPE, right? So if they say, yes, I've been in contact, they fail the screening and can't come in. But if they say no, then they're lying and it makes them feel uncomfortable, right? So it was just sort of a little glitch, but I wasn't sure if it was like a municipality requirement or if it was association based, because I've seen it with a few different groups that they have that question, right? So
and if I can defer to Amanda as the chair of our EOC, who filters all that information down to myself from public health and also from the province.
Thank you, Teresa. So a great question, Martina. We've also had some conversations in the office too about similar experience with screening questions, depending on the nature of your job or your environment. The screening questions though that we have in place currently are, I am 99% positive, just a little bit I'd want to confirm, directly from the screening questions required from the province. Like they set out a set of screening questions. We had a different set previously that didn't include the symptoms that are listed in the current questions. And then we updated them to match what the province prescribed. So I'm almost positive. I will do a double check though as a follow-up to this meeting that the questions we have in place are the prescribed ones from the province.
Okay, thanks. That's the end of my questions for now.
Thanks, Martina. I'll continue on. The next thing on my report is with regards to parks and downtown. So the winter shutdown of the parks, of the splash pad, turning off water, washrooms cleaned and closed, was completed by October 23rd. And the Watford Legion Memorial banners were installed September 14th and are scheduled to be removed next week. And we actually have confirmed today that they are coming down November 25th with Christmas decorations going up the same day. And some may notice some Christmas decorations have already started. The Parks Department have started getting those out. And so we will be ready for the traditional weekend of the Christmas or the Santa Claus parade, which is December 5th, I believe. And I should also note too that through discussions with the Legion, that this will possibly and most likely be an annual program with the banners. And so we'll work out a timeline that they will go up before Legion Week in September and then come down approximately about the same time each year. The ballparks, so the protective netting is not in yet at either Watford or Warwick ballparks. We do have a new project manager from the company. We met last week so that it is in progress because I'm hoping to get that all done this season because it was approved for this year, and as well so that the construction part of that is done, putting in the poles and whatnot so that we're ready for baseball season next year. And they have said they can work in January even if they needed to. So we're in good shape for that. And they've ordered, and we're hoping actually next week or early December, we'll be able to start work. They said it would be about 3 weeks. So you'll see that going in also, the poles and the winch system. And just a little thing, we're really pleased to have East Lambton Public School utilize I put Warwick, sorry, it's Watford Ballpark. Guess it'd be a little ways for them to go for the Warwick Ballpark. So they're using that as outdoor and classroom space. And it's kind of nice because you can hear the kids laughing and whatnot. And it's been good for them because they can get outside of the classroom and still be able to learn, and teachers still be able to teach, but they have more place to physically distance. And last week the weather was beautiful. I think it was a week ago Monday, it was like 24 or 25 degrees out. So the school has been using the park system. And on October 28th, there was a contractor in doing some work on behalf of another contractor, and we had a fortunate incident. No one was injured, but there was a damage to a light pole, and it's so where the outdoor building is by the splash pad, it's just south of there. So you will see it lying on the ground right now, and that's for safety reasons. And the contractor will be replacing everything at their cost. And I just had an update this week that they are working on that. With regards to the library and the museum, I have met with the engineers, and I've outlined there the plans for those buildings to bring them up to a standard right now for the immediate future, I guess, and then sort of as we move forward. And right now I'm just waiting for SPREET reports so that I can get quotes on some of the work that needs to be done. So the most critical thing at the library is stabilizing the west wall. It's bowing a little bit. It's not going to fall down. There's nothing, there's no imminent danger. There's nothing like that. It's certainly just preventative. And then once we get through that, we'll have a better sense of and moving forward on the other items. And you will be seeing chicken wire going up on the museum until we can check out the roof in the future. There has been little pieces of brick fall off the facade, just the one area. And so just for safety reasons, we will be covering that up. And then the first thing that we need to look at is repair and replace the roof. One of the things with regards to a structural analysis that's interesting about this building is that it has to be done by site because when the building was built, wood was not rated at that time. And so there's nothing indicating to say, you know, how much weight it could hold, kind of thing. So anyway, but it is, both buildings are fairly sound. They are sound, but there is work that needs to be done to prevent leaking and brick problems on the museum and the foundation at the library. So we'll be working on those projects also.
Teresa, did you ever get a chance to get that Warwick Central School brass plaque put up?
No, it's in my office. I have not forgotten about it.
Okay.
It's just with all the changes with COVID and gathering limits, I thought perhaps, and when we do this work on the library, that perhaps I'm hoping in the spring that we would be able to do it then. But it is in my library, and it's in my office, and I haven't lost sight of it. Okay. It's purely just to do with gathering limits, because we would like to have more than 10 people there, or yes, you know, as many as we
understood. And that's yes, very good point.
So the Watford Community Arena expansion to community center and arena renovations. The following report, or within this report, the construction progress was provided at the October 26th, I believe, council meeting. And so we have there the sort of critical dates that we're looking at with regards to decision-making, design plans, and when to tender the project. And so as it sits now, on November 25th will be a special council meeting, and Spreet will be back in to discuss phasing and costing a second time with council. And we're looking for a council decision by December 7th. And however it's determined to move forward, we'll determine how the project is tendered. And we're looking to do that in January, by the end of January.
Teresa?
Yep.
Yeah, did you get many surveys? On the surveys? How did
yes.
that go? You did? Okay.
So that there'll be an updated survey report. I believe I have one in here right now, right? That's the current survey. Or did I not include it?
No, it's there. It's
Okay.
just, you really got to scroll through it to get to the meat.
Okay.
Yeah. So we extended it, and it closed at 4 p.m. yesterday. And we had, I believe, 88 participants and 68 comments. And above and beyond that, I had a meeting with an in-person meeting with the Optimist Club, the entire club last week, and Rotary last night via Zoom. And so the two service clubs have also provided feedback, as well as staff. So all of that will be going to council on November 25th.
Okay. Thank you.
So that leads into the next part, the community consultation. And I know that there was one comment about the level of participation with this particular survey. And I thought it was important to note that with this project, and this would be from me, an outsider's perspective, because I was not here in 2019, there has been considerable community consultation already that occurred prior to this. There was an open house that the Y was also at. There was a public survey previously with, I believe, 18 comment cards submitted. And then in addition to that, council put it out to the community to choose the facade of the building. And so there has been quite a bit of public consultation. And this was basically sort of to wrap up the previous consultation, because those comments and everything would have been taken into consideration. And then where has the project team gone with this? And that's sort of where we brought it forward to council on October 26th with a presentation from Spree. And then again on Monday night with another presentation along with costing. So additional survey results will be brought forward again, like I said, next week at the council meeting. And they will be as part of the agenda package that will be going published, I believe, on Friday. I'm saying that as a question. Amanda's nodding her head. Friday, if I get all my stuff in on time. If it's late, sorry, that'll be me. But overall, and interestingly enough, out of the preliminary survey, there was 77 respondents with 70 postal codes from NOM 2SO. So that is your Warwick Township. 4 with NON 1AO. So we had Alvinston was in there, Petrolia, Warwick, and then V2A is Penticton, BC. So
they have relatives in Watford.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Must be someone who's from here, maybe who moved away or something like that.
Yeah. So I thought that was, yeah,
We'll
I thought
move
that was
back.
interesting.
They'll move back when they like it,
Yeah.
if they like it.
They'll see what all the great things they're missing out on.
Yeah. Were there many changes, guys, from the first from the original plans and where we had the meeting, the open house and stuff till there are quite a few changes. Like, did we not have a walking track plan for a walking track?
Yeah,
in the
and I
first
can
part?
go over those in the end. It's part of my agenda.
Okay,
Is it
it's part of yours.
Yeah, because I can briefly go over them as I work through my report, because they were attachments and I can hit some of the highlights for you.
Okay.
If
so
that works for the committee. Okay. I'll continue on. So construction grants, update, we were not selected for the enabling accessibility grant. And I know it may be frustrating to folks to hear that we're not successful. But I think the big thing to understand is not unlike a former project I worked on, there are so many applications for the pool of money that's being that's available for grants. And so it's a lot of competition right now. So it's a tough time to be applying. And it's not to say that our project isn't a great project. I believe wholeheartedly it is. And it's not to say that just because we didn't get the grants, that it's not worthy of a grant. It's just that there is a lot of places that are applying. And there's different things that people are looking at too, right? So, so maybe a little bit frustrating, but we still keep shaking the bushes to see what will drop out. The FCM feasibility study grant has been completed. Staff are in the final review stage of that, and we're looking to submit it. The Enbridge Savings by Design program. Our project team is involved in a workshop on Friday, which will complete the process of basically it's a consulting process to look at getting 15% sort of improved efficiencies in the building, i.e. energy, over the what's required by building code. And so once we go through that process, there is a possibility of a $30,000 grant, which is an investment in our future. So it will be used to, say, increase insulation. So there'll be an additional cost now, but in the future, we'll hopefully see benefits from those costs. The resilience infrastructure stream came out as a follow-up to the ICIP program. And we do know that the Township of Warwick has been granted $100,000. And we're just in the process of, we still have to submit a grant application. And we're in the process of doing that. And there was a couple of other grants that just came to my attention this week that we're also looking at to see whether or not we qualify. Okay. Work has started also on the capital campaign. As part of the building or the project, council is going to endeavor also on a capital campaign to help funding of the arena expansion and arena renovations. In the report is the outline of dates of sort of the project timeline for the capital campaign. We have had council training, which was, from my perspective, it was excellent. And we're now at the phase where we're getting quotations for a campaign feasibility study to be done. So that's basically a consulting firm to come in. They interview, 30 to 40 individuals and work out sort of the feel from the community as the support for the project, as well as the ability for people to give, and looking at what a reasonable campaign goal would be and how many gifts we would need at each level to attain that goal. We did solicit for 3 quotes, and I do have 3 quotes in right now. So we'll be moving forward with that and selecting the firm, and the process starting late November, i.e. next week. Or we can even say the following Monday, because that's November 30th. And hopefully finishing that process during the month of December, so that we can get our campaign plans established and in line with the project also. All of those things have to be in line. Sorry, I have a lot of talking, don't I? Okay. The Tourism and Culture Master Plan development was approved back in the summer, and I'm proud to say, but also offer my apologies in that it's late, but the RFQ is done and it's been advertised as of today. And it closes on December 18th. So we have a 4-week window, and questions have to be submitted by December 10th. And the last posting of answers of those questions is December 11th. So that'll be another process that involves community consultation, interviews with key stakeholders. So council, staff, Parks and Rec committee members, service clubs, user groups, individuals, economic development, arts groups. So there'll be a pretty extensive community consultation process. And I think the interesting thing about all of this is a little bit scary too, I'm not going to lie, that come January, all of these things are going to come into line. So the project, the capital campaign, and the master plan development. And I think it's interesting because they'll all work together, and the master plan information will help us guide us in some of the decision making also of say the properties surrounding, you know, what do we do with the BMX park, and do we keep it? If not, you know, what do we put in place there? So there'll be a lot of community consultation with regards to that, both in person or via Zoom, group settings, individuals, and then also surveys that would happen too. Okay. Parks and Rec staffing. I'm very proud to share that we have 4 of our staff that are taking a basic arena refrigeration course, which is considered a necessity for staff working with refrigerant plants, such as the arena. Because we're not doing in-person training, they have taken this on as online training and are doing that while they are completing their 40-hour work week. So if anyone sees them and thinks, oh, gee, they're not doing anything, chances are they're studying and they're working on this course, because it is a lot. I've taken the course and it is a lot to do. I call them the study buddies because there are 4, and it's quite good that they're able to take it together. It'll be great because at the end of this course, everyone on Parks and Rec staff, including myself, will have basic refrigeration, and we'll just look to build on that training through training that's offered through Parks and Rec Ontario, Ontario Recreation Facilities Association, and sport turf management courses. So I'm very proud of the staff that have taken this on, because it is not easy to do a course while you're also working. So anyways, that's my shout out to the staff. Programs and events. So one of the roles that I've taken on, and it's not, I guess I should say it's not good or bad, right or wrong, it's just different. I very much like to work with the community and engage the community and be a part of the community. And so I have attended in person an Optimist Club executive meeting. And last week I hosted an in-person full Optimist Club dinner meeting at the Watford Community Arena Hall. With COVID restrictions, everything is still the same. And last night I did meet with the Rotary Club via Zoom. And December 1st, I'll be hosting the Rotary Club at the Watford Community Arena Hall for their in-person meeting. So we've had a lot of community engagement, I guess what I would say, you know, not unlike going to meet with the gun club. And I know Hugh's listening on the phone right now, and he's invited me out to come and shoot at the range. And I'm very interested in doing that. Meeting with all of our user groups. So a lot of community engagement has been happening. And I look at that as part of the role of manager of Parks and Recreation, not unlike attending events to provide support to staff, but more so it's that customer service piece from administration. How are things going? I attended a wedding so that they could still have the wedding because of the gathering limits. We needed staff there, but it wasn't necessarily in an operational role. It was so that they could have the wedding, but it was also because as administration, we fill the building, we work with the customers to meet their needs. And so it's having one of us there to be able to continue sort of that customer support. And other, so the solar powered Watford Road sign, I understand, is a strobe light right now. It is going to be repaired.
I think it was repaired today.
Oh, did it get done today already? Oh, sorry.
Mhm.
I sound surprised. Sorry, I was hunkered down in my office all day. So
Well, the truck was there. The sign truck was there.
oh, was that excellent
Working on it.
signs? Oh, perfect. Look at that, Todd. You know it before even I knew it.
I
Gotta love
just
a small.
passed. Yeah.
Yeah. So what had happened is that the previous Parks and Rec manager had set up a system that the Parks and Rec manager would call, and these batteries need to be changed annually. And it just was a hiccup in the transition between staff. And so now we've connected. They did do a work order. They had to order it in and come in and replace those batteries. So thanks, Councillor White, for letting me know that. And I'll follow up to make sure that they changed. I believe we have 2 solar signs. So there should be no more strobe light. And if it wasn't changed today, it all depended on the timing because originally they thought Friday would be the day.
Yeah. It looked like they were there today anyway, or at least looking at it today. Yep.
Okay, good. Excellent. And the other one was just the parking lot at the fire hall, which I've already spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is the report. And then I thought I could go through highlights of design plans.
Sure. Yep. Let's do an overview of that. I guess.
Okay.
Is that attachment C? Is that what you're talking about? Or D?
So all the pages are numbered. So I'm going to go to the pages I would most prefer to use. Sorry. And that would be on page, start on page 37.
Okay, let me just open one up.
Trista, do you want me to share my screen with?
Oh,
that?
Yeah,
sure.
maybe that. Yeah.
Actually, and Amanda, would you happen to have the presentation? Oh, it's probably not the best quality. You know, the one that I gave to Rotary and Optimus Club, because that had the blow up, the enlargements of the kitchen
Free
area.
presentation?
The one I sent it to you, it might be called Optimus presentation. Sorry, Councillor Morris, I renamed one that also says Rotary presentation.
Do you mean, is it on the agenda, Teresa?
No, it's not in the agenda. So that we can just work from the one on the agenda. Sorry.
Yep, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. So I don't have
So
page
that
numbers,
B?
Teresa. What attachment did you say you were looking at?
It is,
B or C?
just let me see, sorry. Watford. It's the Spree presentation, November 16th.
All right. All
Okay,
right.
so that's attachment D. Yep.
Oh, sorry. This is exciting. And every time I look at the facade, I think that's my little red car there. In my world, it is. Anyways. So if we can just start with this. So when you're looking at everything in white is an addition. So you're going to see the dressing rooms, which include accessible dressing rooms on the existing building and along with the workshop. The foyer entrance will be a little bit modified in the middle between the two buildings there, and then the full addition. So when you look at the footprint of the building, the only thing that will have changed is that the gym storage, which is on the east side of the building, has been bumped out, but it's still within the footprint area that we could have gone to. Does that make sense?
Yep.
We had the room to go to there, so we did expand storage, and we're still working on that space. And then as well, we had bumped the kitchen out, and then council asked for an additional bump out Monday night. So we're going to do that, and that'll bring the kitchen, I believe, to almost 950 square feet, the indoor, and then there's also an outdoor kitchen, but we can go over that. There is approximately 220 parking spots. There might have been a couple more. What we did do that was a change was, you'll see the red writing that says service emergency entrance. Originally, that was also an entrance exit for the parking lot, but the laneway to the right of that is actually just an access road, and it doesn't meet any like road requirements, as I understand. So we did add a parking space entrance. So there are two ways to get in and out of that parking, but we did keep the emergency entrance. I found with my previous building, we had the same sort of situation. And if we had a situation that there was an emergency, say on the tennis courts, or, and there was parking, it's just another way to get on an ambulance into a building. Okay, next slide, Amanda. Thank you. So the existing floor plan, the things that will have changed with this, in the northwest corner, I'm a farm girl, so I'm good with directions. Are we all good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So we did add a workshop, and this will alleviate having to store any equipment on other locations, as well as alleviate the issue because we do store stuff in the basement of Centennial Hall, like Christmas decorations. And as well, it will create a more efficient system in the fact that we don't have to move something to get to something. We did have a request, a really great request from staff, and that would be to add maybe a concrete pad outside to be able to wash equipment down and a water. But it is connected. There's two overhead doors, one on the west side and one on the north side. You can drive through. There'll be enough power for grinders, like any of the equipment that we need to have. And then there's also access into the main arena portion, and I believe into the ice resurfacer room too. So it's going to be a great use of space. And it's literally a roof with concrete block walls and this concrete slab that will be heated, but it will be very, very efficient. And then on the east side of the building, so you still have your two accessible dressing rooms and universal dressing rooms. That has not changed. And then when you go to the viewing area and the lobby, so right now there's a small ramp, but it does not meet any AODA requirements. So that's going to be removed, and it's going to be a concrete viewing area that is fully accessible. So it will have a ramp that meets AOD or building code requirements. The flex space is where dressing room 5 is right now. And so, for example, if you had a hockey tournament, you could be doing your registration there. You have a figure skating club, you could be doing registration there or have vendors there. And then we move down to the other end where we've lost dressing rooms and put them on the, so it'll be very great functionally because all the dressing rooms will be together. And then the washrooms are going to be moved to where 6 and 7 are. And then right now, the skate sharpening room is where staff eat their lunch. It's like a catch-all room. And so we are going to have some much needed space for staff in that there will be a lunchroom and you know, a locker space for them to put their personal items and whatnot. So that's pretty exciting. And then Amanda, if you could take your cursor back up to those little squares where we had the, in the new lobby area where we added the workstations, just at the south end. Yeah,
Oh.
perfect. So one of the things we looked at was, if this is going to be a community hub, community center, and it's no longer just an arena, it is a multi-use facility, what other kind of amenities could we include that would attract people or that people would appreciate? And especially, I kind of look at it with people working from home and you need maybe some meeting space, or you're there with your child playing hockey. So those will be like a Starbucks counter with stools, and they will be workstations. So you'll be able to charge your computers there. And then Wi-Fi will be accessible to everyone. Okay, so that is a new addition. I can't see everyone. Is there any questions for the existing building? No, hearing none. Amanda, can we go to the next slide, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. So now we have the new building. So, and there have been some questions about things, and this is a great opportunity maybe to clarify some things. So there is the primary parking lot will be to the south and the east side of the new addition. But there is still parking at the arena side. There's still parking on the Memorial Park side, and there's still parking at the north end of the arena in that sort of overflow area. So I think people were concerned when they looked at the parking lot and said, gee, that's a long way to take our hockey bags. But in actual fact, that's not the only parking. There's still the other parking that will still exist. And so you'll see at the north end of this, which is on the left, that's where it connects to the existing building. So, and if you could put your cursor on just a little to the right on that wall there, a little further. Yeah. So in that area, we have designated for the donor wall. So for our capital campaign, that's where donor recognition will happen outside of naming opportunities, which will happen on the property itself. So for example, if Councillor Morris decides that he wants to give a gift and it meets the threshold to name the gymnasium multi-purpose room, then he can choose the name for that. It'll be the Councillor Morris or Wayne Morris Gymnasium or whatever. And then you have the entrance to the Y there. And the Y, I've been working with them closely. We've now set up bi-weekly meetings, and we have pretty much everything in. There have been questions as to why the change rooms are where they are. Couple things. One is they're shared change rooms. So the gym space is a shared space between ourselves and the Y. Those change rooms are used, for example, if we run a program such as pickleball, those change rooms are used by our people. If the Y runs a day camp, then those change rooms are used by their people in the gym. So they needed to be in a location that was accessible to both. When we have a major function in the multi-purpose room, and I'm going to pick on you again, Councillor Morris.
All right.
As you said, you had your wedding in Centennial Hall. So as a celebration, as one of my first rentals will be Councillor Morris's vow renewal with 500 guests in the new hall. And so those change rooms will be locked off, but the Y can still use them. And we will use the bathrooms off the hallway. And another question was about the child minding room. So the activity room and the child minding room are with the Y lease. So the child minding room is not daycare for the community to register the kids and whatnot. It is specifically, if I'm a Y member and I have a child, I can drop them off in child minding and then go into my work or participate in a gym activity or whatever. Okay. So then if you go back to the donor wall, that area will be sort of like your main entrance, because you'll have the Y there, you'll have the donor wall, you'll have the entrance to the arena, which are sliding doors now to the left. And then, Amanda, if you take the cursor straight down, you have the recreation office. And so there was some questions about as to why are there two offices? The two offices, so there is one in the arena, which is an operations office where the lead hand works out of. And this is a Parks and Recreation office. So it'll be the manager of Parks and Recreation. And as potential growth happens and additional staff may be required, there's also a place for that person to be able to work. It was originally further down. My philosophy is I want to be where people can get me. Well, sorry, that sounds horrible, right? But I need to be accessible to people. And so we've kept that as a hub there. And then also too, if the Y has any issues, they can just come over to the Parks and Rec office and say, hey, a bathroom's backed up, and then we can contact our operations staff to look after it from there. To the right of that is a storage room. And that was another question. Will organizations such as the Optimus Club, Rotary Club still have storage because they use the tunnels now? And the answer is yes. There'll be chain link fence in there to separate out the storage spaces, but yes, they will have storage. Next to those will be 2 meeting rooms. They divide into 2 rooms, but you can also use them as one. And we're also looking at sort of the AV equipment that's going to go in there. And there'll be a small kitchenette on the room that Amanda has her cursor on right now. Next to that is a janitorial room. We have increased that space because that will also be an area hub for IT. So all of that, all the controls and everything will be in there. But the other thing too, this is a lesson learned from the last building I worked on, was that we need janitorial room on this part of the building. And part of the feedback was, well, we have a lot of storage space in the arena. And I said, yeah, but if you have 500 people in the hall, that's going to be changing a lot of toilet paper and a lot of paper towel. And we need to be able to have it handy. We need to be able to have a slop sink, mop and pail, all of those kind of things. So that will be the main area for staff at this end of the building. Next to that is a universal washroom. And the universal washroom was moved down slightly. And right where Amanda has her cursor, you'll see this doorway. And the reason it was moved down was where Amanda's going up and down, there'll be a gate there for when we have special events in the community hall. So for example, when the fish fry is happening and you have a bar and so on and so forth, there'll be a gate there so that guests can't go any further, i.e. go into the Y space or into the change rooms. And I have had lots of consultations with the Y, and they're very comfortable with that. And we've agreed that what we would do at the south entrance is that we'll put signage up on the door that says, due to a private event or a community event, please, Y guests and guests of the arena, please use the main arena or main facility entrance door. And then this way it sort of controls not mixing groups. And then next to that is our coat room. And then the next part is an addition. So it's a milling about place. So we've added an electric fireplace and some lounge furniture. So if you're having a wedding or say you're here for a conference or a trade show, you can step out, check your email, relax, read a newspaper. If people still read them, I read them online. But anyways, I read a book, have a chat with fireside chat with someone. And then along the west wall of the gym, you're going to see those same little squares. And that is also workstations. So all of those will be a counter with stools with no backs so that it can go in. So it's easy cleaning for floors. And you can watch what's going on in the gym. You can work, you can do schoolwork, you can surf the internet, watch a movie on your computer. So lots of different type of activities that'll be able to draw us to there. The multi-purpose room, so I don't know if you can move it over a bit, Amanda, can you slide it to the left at all?
To the left?
Yeah, the other left. Sorry. Just,
Yes.
just so we can see the room. So the gym multi-purpose room is an official gym size. So you can have an official basketball game, but it will also have 6 basketball nets. So we can close a wall and have basketball on one side and have something else going on the other side. You can play official lengths, or you can do courts east-west also. You can have different events going on at the same time. And yes, to someone on the survey that asked about a track, there will be a walking track that goes around the gymnasium. The floor we are looking at, though, needs to be multi-purpose floor that works for a gymnasium, a track, and also a wedding reception. So those are some of the details that we'll be looking at for that. We've put in drop-down electrical cords so that if we have some sort of type of trade show, that we don't have issues running extension cords everywhere. We can pull the power from the ceiling down and then just crank it back up when we're done with it. And we're also looking at dimmers and how to do light controls so that if you have a wedding, it's not the same lights as a basketball game. The storage room is quite big. We bumped it out, but you can probably imagine, I believe Kevin corrected me, McElmurray, that the actual gymnasium can seat like 800 people. That's a lot of tables and chairs. Plus we're looking at portable bar, a portable stage or riser, podiums, those type of things. And why storage, dedicated storage for the Y, their equipment. And then also storage for our recreation equipment that would also be used by the Y. So for example, the standards for volleyball, badminton, and pickleball. And there is a system out there that you can just buy one set of poles that you just have to move the net up and down. So that's the system we're looking at, as opposed to having 3 different systems. So hopefully less space. Then we have, I think your cursor's on it now. Is it, Amanda, on the bar? There we go. So, and I have reviewed this with the Optimist Club. So it's quite a large bar. What is it? It's over 300 square feet for the bar area alone. They also have bar cold storage. And so what's going to happen is when you look at that exit door, just past the mechanical room on the west side, thank you, or east side, what we're looking at putting in there is a security system that would allow the Optimist Club 24-hour access to get into the bar cold storage area. And it's like a lease I did in another place. If they should try to go into the gym or anywhere else, it would just set off an alarm. And then this way, it's convenient to the baseball diamonds and the outdoor bar that they have there. And so they'll have lots of room for storage and so on and so forth there. The kitchen is now, it says there's 796. I think we're up to like 950 square feet. To the left or to the right is the walk-in fridge right beside the bar cold storage. Beside that is to the right is just up, Amanda, to the down in the corner there, where there's like where the walk-in, it's a stand-up freezer. Sorry, I always want to go grab my mouse. So if you go take the cursor down, and that's it exactly. And then along there we have sinks. We have so much sinks. And then a Rotary Club last night through consultation, we will be getting an 8-burner oven range. So there'll be 8 burners. The middle area is all prep, and the dishes will all sit on carts underneath there. And Rotary has requested lots of electrical in that area, on the prep area. So that's something I'll be putting in that will go in my report next week to council. And there's also 3 compartment sink and a full commercial dishwasher as well as an ice machine. And the reason the ice machine is in the kitchen is because ice machines make a lot of noise, because every time they make ice and it dumps. So that's why it'll be in the kitchen. We do not have pass-through counters in the kitchen area. One, they're not used very often. And two, when the window doors are rolled up, it's really loud. The kitchen noise is really loud. So in order to meet public health standards, and I still have to consult with public health, but you have to have a way to bring clean out and dirty in. So we've done double doors, swing doors. And then you can see the wall divider door there, because packs into that little area. And so it sort of separates the two kitchens. And I know there's concern about having two caterers at one time. And what I said to Rotary last night was, I'm well versed. My last facility, I had a full commercial kitchen, and I've worked with two different caterers at one time. Generally speaking, you can have one that's cooking on site and one that's serving from the site that maybe is warming. Oh, and I should also say by the oven range to the right of that will be warming ovens. And then to the right of the warming ovens is the doors to the outdoor kitchen. The one door will have, it'll be a Dutch door so that you can service outside. And then the outdoor kitchen will have a cover. It will have the proper exhaust hood and fire suppression system in order to have deep fryers and barbecues cooking under there. A gas connection, water connection, and all the proper drainage for water. Lighting, and as well, I can't say it like the engineers would use the proper words, but anyways, they have a system so birds will not live up there. So we won't have to worry about any of those issues. And when it's not being used as a kitchen, you know, a vendor's bringing in a wedding cake, they can pull up and bring it right into the kitchen area. And they're underneath a canopy. So it's just extending the steel roof to cover that area. So it's a great use of space. And then Amanda, the next slide. I think I've hit the key. Yeah. Oh, and this is just a comparison. So if you look at the current Centennial Hall kitchen, it's approximately 600 square feet. The Warwick Community Center, which is a smaller community center, is 429 square feet. We were at 796 square feet, but we've added another 4 feet, so 4 times 38. So we've added, I think, almost another 120 square feet to the kitchen, if I have my math correct. So it'll be a very, very optimal space. And that's pretty much the summary of what we've been working on. And I can't see everyone, so I don't know if there's any questions or not. Any feedback, comments?
Martina?
I was just going to say this was really helpful. My only wish is that this explanation had have gone out to the public before the survey, because this walkthrough, I think, would have generated less confusion and more feedback, because you touched on so many things that, you know, some people asked in the survey, other people have asked, you know, people like me and other people. So I thank you, because it really helped me get through the building. But I really wish something like this had gone out to the public before we asked for their final input.
And I appreciate that, Martina. I should say, the survey helped me also in that going, oh, so people don't understand that there's a track there. I should highlight that. The survey also helped me being able to describe it in more detail tonight also. But I appreciate that. So please let everybody know they can get the full description by watching us on YouTube, the recording anyways. But thanks, Martina, for the feedback. I appreciate it.
Great, thank you. I don't see any other questions, so we'll continue on. We'll just see where we go from there.
That's the end of everything that I had it for tonight, because the other pieces were, I think, predominantly for information, and will be spoken to at a later date, like another report with regards to the survey, because this is just the preliminary results. will go to council on November 25th and will also be forwarded to Parks and Rec Committee at a later date too. So.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll move on to the Parks and Rec minutes if we could have a mover and a seconder from our last meeting. I believe that was October. Yes, Amanda? October
Just
14th.
a procedural note, Councillor White, the committee does not need to approve the previous minutes because
Oh,
they're
okay.
approved by council. But I would recommend a receive and file on the Parks and Recreation update report and all related attachments if that would be entertained.
If I could get that motion from the committee, John and Martina seconding, all in favor? Thank you. That passes. Okay. Is there anything else we need to discuss tonight? Other business? No, don't see any. All right, can I have a mover to adjourn? Wayne, thank you. Councillor Morris, and a seconder, John, and everybody in favor. Excellent. Great meeting. Thank you very much for your
Thanks,
attendance.
everyone.
And,
Yeah, thanks, Teresa.
and good night.
Teresa.